Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So we're going to continue our reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 15.
So you can say the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 15. The learned Brahmanas, who were very satisfied with the charities of the king, addressed him as the chief amongst the Purus, and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus. Text 16. The Brahmanas said, "This spotless son has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon." Purport. The child Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Vishnu, Lord Krishna, for two reasons. The first reason is that the child in the womb of his mother was spotless due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. The second reason is that the child was the only surviving male descendant of Puru, the pious forefather of the virtuous King Yudhishthira. The Lord wants to continue the line of pious kings to rule over the earth as his representatives for the actual progress of a peaceful and prosperous life. After the battle of Kurukshetra, even up to the next generation of Maharaj Yudhishthira was annihilated, and there were none who could generate another son in the great royal family. Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, was the only surviving heir apparent in the family, and by the irresistible supernatural Brahmastra weapon of Ashwatthama, he was forced to be annihilated. Lord Krishna is described herein as Vishnu, and this is also significant. Lord Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, does the work of protection and annihilation in his capacity of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. The all-pervasive activities of the Lord are executed by him in his Vishnu feature. Child Parikshit is described here spotlessly white because he is an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Such unalloyed devotees of the Lord appear on the earth just to execute the mission of the Lord. The Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed to go back home, back to Godhead. And thus he helps them by preparing the transcendental literatures like the Vedas, by sending missionaries of saints and sages, and by deputing his representative, the spiritual master. Such spotless literatures, missionaries and representatives of the Lord are spotlessly white because the contamination of the material qualities cannot even touch them. They are always protected by the Lord when they are threatened with annihilation. Such foolish threats are made by the gross materialists. The Brahmastra, which was thrown by Ashwatthama at the child Parikshit, was certainly supernaturally powerful, and nothing of the material world could resist its force of penetration. But the all-powerful Lord, who is present everywhere within and without, could counteract it by his all-powerful potency, just to save a bona fide servant of the Lord, and descendant of another devotee, Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was always obliged by the Lord by his causeless mercy.
Text 17. For this reason, this child will be well known in the world as one who is protected by the personality of Godhead. O most fortunate one, there is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee and will be qualified with all good qualities. So another name for Parikshit Maharaj is Vishnu Rata. So that's in the Sanskrit there. Vishnu Rata. Tasman namna Vishnu Rata. Vishnu Rata means protected by Vishnu. Purport. The Lord gives protection to all living beings because he is their supreme leader. The Vedic hymns confirm that the Lord is the supreme person among all personalities. The difference between the two living beings is that the one, the personality of Godhead, provides for all other living beings. And by knowing him, one can achieve eternal peace. Katha Upanishad. Such protection is given by his different potencies to different grades of living beings. But as far as his unalloyed devotees are concerned, he gives the protection personally. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit is protected from the beginning of his appearance in the womb of his mother. And because he is especially given protection by the Lord, the indication must be concluded that the Lord would be that the child would be a first-grade devotee of the Lord with all good qualities. There are 3 grades of devotees, namely the Mahabhagavat, the Madhyama Adhikari, and the Kanishta Adhikari. Those who go to temples of the Lord and offer worshipful respect to the deity without sufficient knowledge in the theological science, and therefore without any respect for the devotees of the Lord, are called materialistic devotees, or Kanishta Adhikari, the 3rd grade devotees. Secondly, the devotees who have developed a mentality of genuine service to the Lord and who thus make friendship only with similar devotees, show favor to the neophytes, and avoid the atheists are called the 2nd grade devotees. But those who see everything in the Lord or everything of the Lord and also see in everything an eternal relation of the Lord, so that there is nothing within their purview of sight except the Lord, are called the Mahabhagavats, or first-grade devotees of the Lord. Such first-grade devotees of the Lord are perfect in all respects. A devotee who may be in any of these categories is automatically qualified by all good qualities, and thus a Mahabhagavat devotee like Maharaj Parikshit is certainly perfect in all respects. And because Maharaj Parikshit took his birth in the family of Maharaj Yudhisthira, he is addressed herein as the Mahabhagavat, or the greatest of the fortunates. The family in which a Mahabhagavat takes his birth is fortunate because due to the birth of a first-grade devotee, the members of the family, past, present, and future, up to 100 generations, become liberated by the grace of the Lord, out of respect for his beloved devotee. Therefore, the highest benefit is done to one's family simply by becoming an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Now that is a nectar purport right there. Yeah? What do you think? I don't remember reading that 100 generations. I've seen 7 before, 7 after, 21 generations, but 100 generations. Of course, that's for a Mahabhagavat to be born in your family, so there are a lot of Mahabhagavats rolling around the planet. Okay, amazing.
Text 18. The good King Yudhishthira inquired, O great souls, will he become as saintly a king, as pious in his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family? Purport. The forefathers of King Yudhishthira were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievements. They were all saints on the royal throne, and therefore all the members of the state were happy, pious, well-behaved, prosperous, and spiritually enlightened. Under strict guidance of the great souls and spiritual injunctions, such great saintly kings were trained up. And as a result, the kingdom was full of saintly persons and was a happy land of spiritual life. Maharaj Yudhishthira was himself a replica of his ancestors, and he desired that the next king after him become exactly like his great forefathers. He was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations the child would be born a first-grade devotee of the Lord, and more confidentially, he wanted to know whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers. That is the way of the monarchical state. The reigning king should be a pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord and fear personified for the upstarts. He must also leave a heir apparent equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizens. In the modern setup of the democratic states, the people themselves are fallen to the qualities of the Shudras or less, and the government is run by their representative, who is ignorant of the scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with Shudra qualities, manifested by lust and avarice. Such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. The cabinet of ministers changes often due to party and group selfishness. Everyone wants to exploit the state resources till he dies. No one retires from political life unless forced to do so. How can such low-grade men do good to the people? The result is corruption, intrigue, and hypocrisy. They should learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam how ideal the administrators must be before they can be given charge of different posts.
Text 19. The learned Brahmin said, O son of Pritha, this child shall be exactly like King Ikshwaku, son of Manu, in maintaining all those who are born. And as for following the Brahminical principles, especially in being true to his promise, he shall be exactly like Rama, the personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Dasharat. Purport. Praja means the living being who has taken his birth in the material world. Actually, the living being has no birth and no death. But because of his separation from the service of the Lord and due to his desire to lord it over the material nature, he is offered a suitable body to satisfy his material desires. In doing so, one becomes conditioned by the laws of material nature, and the material body is changed in terms of his own work. The living entity thus transmigrates from one body to another in 8,400,000 species of life. But due to his being part and parcel of the Lord, he not only is maintained with all necessaries of life by the Lord, but also is protected by the Lord and his representatives, the saintly kings. These saintly kings give protection to all the prajas, or living beings, to live and to fulfill their terms of imprisonment. Maharaj Parikshit was actually an ideal saintly king because while touring his kingdom, he happened to see that a poor cow was about to be killed by the personified Kali, when he at once took to task whom he at once took to task as a murderer. This means that even the animals were given protection by the saintly administrators from any not This means that even the animals were given protection by the saintly administrators, not from any sentimental point of view, but because those who have taken their birth in the material world have the right to live. All the saintly kings, beginning from the king of the sun globe down to the king of the earth, are so inclined by the influence of the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures are taught in higher planets also, as there is reference in the Bhagavad Gita 4.1 about the teachings of the sun god Vivishwan by the Lord, and such lessons are transferred by disciplic succession, as it was done by the sun god to his son Manu, and from Manu to Maharaj Ikshwaku. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and the Manu referred to herein is the seventh Manu, who is one of the Prajapatis, those who create progeny, and he is the son of the sun god. He is known as Vaivashwata Manu. He had 10 sons, and Maharaj Ikshwaku is one of them. Maharaj Ikshwaku also learned Bhagavad Gita as taught, learned Bhakti Yoga as taught in the Bhagavad Gita from his father Manu, who got it from his father, the sun god. Later on, the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita came down by disciplic succession from Maharaj Ikshwaku. But in course of time, the chain was broken by unscrupulous persons, and therefore it again had to be taught by Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So all the Vedic literatures are current from the very beginning of creation of the material world, and thus the Vedic literatures are known as Apurusheya, not made by man. The Vedic knowledge was spoken by the Lord and first heard by Brahma, the first created living being within the universe.
Maharaj Ikshvaku is one of the sons of Vaivatsva Manu. He had 100 sons. He prohibited meat eating. His son Shashada became the next king after his death. Manu, the mentioned Manu in this verse as the father of Ikshvaku, is the seventh Manu of the name Vaivasvata Manu, the son of sun god Vivashvan, to whom Lord Krishna instructed the teachings of Bhagavad Gita prior to his teaching them to Arjuna. Mankind is the descendant of Manu. This Vaivasvata Manu had 10 sons, named Ikshvaku, Nabhaga, Drishta, Sayati, Narishyanta, Nabhaga, Dista, Karusha, Prishada, and Vasuman. The Lord's incarnation, Matsya, the gigantic fish, was invented during the beginning of Vaivasvata Manu's reign. He learned the principles of Bhagavad Gita from his father, Vivashwan, the sun god, and he re-instructed the same to his son, Maharaj Ikshvaku. In the beginning of the Treta Yuga, the sun god instructed devotional service to Manu, and Manu in his turn instructed it to Ikshvaku for the welfare of the whole human society.
Lord Ram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, incarnated himself as Sri Ram, accepting the sonhood of his pure devotee Maharaj Dasharat, the king of Ayodhya. Lord Ram descended along with his plenary portions, and all of them appeared as his younger brothers. In the month of Chaitra, on the 9th day of the growing moon, in the Treta Yuga, the Lord appeared, as usual, to establish the principles of religion and to annihilate the disturbing elements. When he was just a young boy, he helped the great sage Vishwamitra by killing Subahu and striking Maricha, the 2 demons who were disturbing the sages in their daily discharge of duties. The Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are meant to cooperate for the welfare of the mass of people. The Brahmana sages endeavor to enlighten the people by perfect knowledge, and the Kshatriyas are meant for the protection. Lord Ramchandra is the ideal king for maintaining and protecting the highest culture of humanity, known as Brahmanya Dharma. The Lord is specifically the protector of the cows and the Brahmanas, and hence he enhances the prosperity of the world. He rewarded the administrative demigods by effective weapons to conquer the demons through the agency of Vishvamitra. He was present in the bow sacrifice of King Janak, and by breaking the invincible bow of Shiva, he married Sita Devi, daughter of Maharaj Janak.
After his marriage, he accepted exile in the forest for 14 years by the order of his father, Maharaj Dashrath. To help the administration of the demigods, he killed 14,000 demons, and by the intrigues of the demons, his wife, Sita Devi, was kidnapped by Ravan. He made friendship with Sugriva, who was helped by the Lord to kill Vali, brother of Sugriva. By the help of Lord Ram, Sugriva became the king of the Varanas, a race of gorillas. The Lord built a floating bridge of stones on the Indian Ocean and reached Lanka, the kingdom of Ravan, who had kidnapped Sita. Later on, Ravan was killed by him, and Ravan's brother Vibhishan was installed on the throne of Lanka. Vibhishan was one of the brothers of Ravan, a demon, but Lord Ram made him immortal by his blessings. On the expiry of 14 years, after settling the affairs at Lanka, the Lord came back to his kingdom, Ayodhya, by Flower Plain. He instructed his brother Satrugna to attack Lavanasura, who reigned at Mathura, and the demon was killed. He performed 10 Ashwamedha sacrifices, and later on he disappeared while taking a bath in the Saranyu river. The great epic Ramayana is the history of Lord Ram's activities in the world, and the authoritative Ramayana was written by the great poet Valmiki.
Text 20. This child will be a munificent donor of charity and protector of the surrendered, like the famous King Shibi of the Ushanara country, and he will expand the name and fame of his family like Bharat, the son of Maharaj Dushanta. Purport. A king becomes famous by his acts of charity, performance of yagyas, protection of the surrendered, etc. A Kshatriya king is proud to give protection to the surrendered souls. This attitude of a king is called Ishwara Bhav, or factual power to give protection in a righteous cause. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord instructs living beings to surrender unto him, and he promises all protection. The Lord is all-powerful and true to his word, and therefore he never fails to give protection to his different devotees. The king, being the representative of the Lord, must possess this attitude of giving protection to the surrendered souls at all risk. Maharaj Shibi, the king of Usanara, was an intimate friend of Maharaj Yayati, who was able to reach the heavenly planets along with Maharaj Shibi. Maharaj Shibi was aware of the heavenly planet where he was to be transferred after his death, and the description of this heavenly planet is given in the Mahabharata, Adiparva 96.6 through 9. Maharaj Shibi was so charitably disposed that he wanted to give over his acquired position in the heavenly kingdom to Yayati, but he did not accept it. Yayati went to the heavenly planet along with the great rishis like Ashtaka and others. On inquiry from the rishis, Yayati gave an account of Shibi's pious acts when all of them were on the path to heaven. He has become a member of the assembly of Yamaraj, who has become his worshipful deity. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, the worshipper of the demigods goes to the planet of the demigods. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. So, Maharaj Shibi has become an associate of the great Vaishnava authority Yamaraj on that particular planet. While he was on the earth, he became very famous as a protector of surrendered souls and a donor of charities. The king of heaven once took the shape of a pigeon hunter, bird, eagle. The king of heaven once took the shape of a pigeon hunter, bird, an eagle, and Agni, the fire god, took the shape of a pigeon. The pigeon, while being chased by the eagle, took shelter on the lap of Maharaj Shibi. The hunter eagle wanted the pigeon back from the king. The king wanted to give it some other meat to eat and requested the bird not to kill the pigeon. The hunter bird refused to accept the king's offer, but it was settled later on that the eagle would accept flesh from the body of the king of the pigeon's equivalent weight. The king began to cut flesh from his body to weigh in the balance equivalent to the weight of the pigeon. But the mystic pigeon always remained heavier. The king then put himself on the balance to equate with the pigeon, and the demigods were pleased with him. The king of heaven and the fire god disclosed their identity, and the king was blessed by them. Devarshi Narada also glorified Maharaj Shibi for his great achievements, specifically in charity and protection. Maharaj Shibi sacrificed his own son for the satisfaction of human beings in his kingdom, and thus child Parikshit was to become a second Shibi in charity and protection.
Dashyanti Bharat. There are many Bharats in history, of which Bharat, the brother of Lord Ram, Bharat, the son of King Rishabh, and Bharat, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta, are very famous. And all these Bharats are historically known to the universe. This earth planet is known as Bharat, or Bharatvash, due to King Bharat, the son of Rishabh. But according to some, this land is known as Bharat due to the reign of the son of Dushyanta. So far as we are convinced, this land's name Bharatvash was established from the reign of Bharat, the son of King Rishabh. Before him, the land was known as Ilavrita. Just after the coronation of Bharat, the son of Rishabh, this land became famous as Bharatvash.
But despite all this, Bharat, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta, was not less important. He is the son of the famous beauty Shakuntala. Maharaj Dushyanta fell in love with Shakuntala in the forest, and Bharat was conceived. After that, Maharaj forgot his wife Shakuntala by the curse of the Kanva Muni, and the child Bharat was brought up in the forest by his mother. Even in his childhood, he was so powerful that he challenged the lions and elephants in the forest and would fight with them as little children play with cats and dogs. Because of the boys becoming so strong, more than the so-called modern Tarzan, the rishis in the forest called him Sarvadamana, or one who is able to control everyone. A full description of Maharaj Bharat is given in the Mahabharata Adi Parva. The Pandavas or the Kurus are sometimes addressed as Bharata due to being born in the dynasty of the famous Maharaj Bharat, the son of King Dushyanta. Oh, that's interesting, because I always thought it was the other Bharat they were connected to, but yeah, okay. It's a long purport. Yeah, I think we stopped. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to call it a night. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki.
Jai.
Hare